The weekend is over. There's a lot of stuff to get into today. There's a national championship in women's college basketball. There will be a national champion tonight in men's college basketball. A lot of great NBA action going on. A lot of stuff happening in the world of pop culture and entertainment, and of course, politics as well. But needless to say, that ain't what today is mostly about. Today, millions of Americans looked up at the sun as we experienced the first total solar eclipse to pass through North America in 7 years. According to NASA, the next time we will experience a total solar eclipse will be in the year 2044. And later in the show, you'll be able to see my reaction to this solar phenomenon. I already told you about Deion Sanders. I already told you about South Carolina. I already told you that the WNBA is waiting with bated breath for Caitlin Clark. Even my Knicks are making some noise. But nothing beats the solar eclipse. Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you over the digital airwaves of YouTube, as I love to do at the very least 3 times a week, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at the very least. Thank you all so much for the support that you've been giving me. Yet again, the numbers continue to climb. Our subscriber base has eclipsed 611,000 followers, no pun intended with the eclipse word, but it's the truth. There it is. If you want to continue to like and follow the show, just click the bell to be a new subscriber, and YouTube will be the latest member of the Stephen A. Smith Show family. By the way, while you're at that, make sure you get a copy of my best-selling book, Straight Shooter, a memoir of second chances and first takes, now in paperback. Just go to straightshooterbook.com. That's straightshooterbook.com. Let's get right started here, and let's get started in Cleveland, where South Carolina won their 3rd national championship yesterday, taking down Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes. The win completes a perfect season for head coach Deion Sanders and the Gamecocks. But the big winner was women's college basketball, and it showed in the TV ratings, I might add. The Elite Eight matchup between LSU and Iowa set a women's NCAA hoops ratings record with 12.3 million viewers, peaking at 16 million, by the way, over one period. The Final Four matchup between UConn and Iowa broke that record with 14.2 million viewers, and the numbers are not yet in as to what the national title game numbers are. So now, Caitlin Clark is set to take her game to the WNBA, where the light shine brightest when it comes to women's basketball. So take a listen to what the one and only Diana Taurasi had to say about what's waiting for Caitlin Clark and others getting ready for the WNBA draft next week.
Right? When the college guys come out, they're waiting for them. I mean, Camilla's coming, Caitlin's coming. There's more than just that are coming. What will the league have in store for them when they get there?
Look, SVP, reality is coming.
Okay.
There's levels to this thing, and that's just life. We all went through it.
Of course.
And you see it on the NBA side, and you're going to see it on this side, where, you look superhuman playing against 18-year-olds, but you're going to come with some grown women that have been playing professional basketball for a long time. Not saying that it's not going to translate, because when you're great at what you do, you're just going to get better. But there is going to be a transition period where you're going to have to give yourself some grace as a rookie. And, it might take a little bit longer for some people.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand who you were just listening to. You were just listening to one of the most highly competitive women you've ever laid eyes on. Her name is Diana Taurasi. She was a 3-time champion in college. She's a 3-time WNBA champion, obviously a gold medalist. The woman is one of the most accomplished stars in the history of women's basketball. And the first words out of her mouth about Caitlin Clark is basically, there's levels to this. Okay? And what you're seeing her do against 18 and 19-year-olds in college is grown women waiting for her, and she'd better be ready. Now, let me say this about Caitlin Clark. I expect she'll be ready. If you remember, I had said before her game against UConn on Friday night, I expected them to beat UConn, even though I thought that although the call wasn't necessarily wrong, that an official making a call with 3.9 seconds left in a game of that ilk really disturbed me. The bottom line is, when you went to the national championship game against South Carolina, Caitlin Clark was going to need to drop 50 in order to beat South Carolina. And you know something? In the first quarter, when she dropped 18 points, I said, oh, my damn. she gonna drop 50. That's how special that girl is. Now, she finished with 30. She was held to 12 points on 5 for 20 shooting the rest of the way, and we understand that. But Caitlin Clark is absolutely phenomenal. And when you talk about the GOATs of the game, she's certainly in consideration to be one of them. The difference is unlike Cheryl Swoops, unlike Diana Taurasi, unlike Cheryl Miller, unlike Breanna Stewart, unlike these wonderful, marvelous women that have played in women's college basketball, they all walked away with championships. She didn't. I didn't even bring up Maya Moore and so many others, Shamika Holdsclaw and others. She doesn't have a championship, so that's going to be a blemish when you talk about somebody being the GOAT in the history of anything. If you don't have a single championship to show for it, you don't get those kind of accolades and laudables associated with your name. But in the end, what Caitlin Clark has done for women's basketball can't be measured. She put it on her shoulders. She uplifted it. She helped generate an audience women's basketball had never seen. And when you have that kind of stuff on your resume, that goes a long way. So it's to be respected. And rather than people hating on her, and I'm not saying Diana Taurasi was doing that because I don't have any problem at all. All she's saying is that we're going to be waiting for her, and it ain't going to be some cakewalk. She's going to have to come in here and compete with us just like she competes against other people. We are not college athletes. We are on the pro level. We're the creme de la creme. I respect that. But in the same breath, please understand and keep a watchful eye on how the ladies treat her because they may compete against her. But if she is that girl, and she's going to be that special for the Indiana Fever when she's the #1 overall pick in a couple of weeks, if she's going to do that, please understand, everybody benefits. Everybody benefits. Magic Johnson used to say that to the Lakers. I understand that I'm the Magic Man and I'm making all of these commercials, but when we win, all of us are going to benefit. And he wasn't lying. Neither was Bird. Neither was Michael Jordan. Neither was a host of other individuals. When you win and you're successful, you are not the only one who reaps the benefits from that. And I think these ladies are smart enough to know that, and they will embrace Caitlin Clark even while trying to beat her down. Because if she's great, she'll be able to handle it on the basketball court. And off the court, she will uplift the sport and everybody will enjoy the fruits of her labor and then some. Let me take a second to make sure you all know, not only is Major League Baseball in full swing, but the NBA playoffs are just around the corner. So every home run, strikeout, or three-pointer is very, very important, okay? And I don't know about you, but I need to be in the middle of all that action. And how do I do that exactly? I use Prize Picks, of course. You see, Prize Picks is the largest fantasy sports platform with more than 3 million members, and it's not only super exciting, but incredibly easy to play. It takes only 60 seconds to make your picks, all right? So don't sweat it, all right? All you do is select 2 or more players from the sport you love, whether it's the NBA, the MLB, the NHL, or even boxing, and then choose more or less of their in-game stats. So if I know that Kyrie is dishing out 10 assists and Ohtani is hitting 2 homers, I need to pick that and play to be rolling in the money. So go to prizepicks.com and use promo code SAS for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's right. Just go to prizepicks.com, type in my initials SAS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. That's code SAS when you go to prizepicks.com. Pick more, pick less. It's really, really that easy. All right? Okay, it looks like the move now. All right. Oh, damn. How they could tell, like right down in a minute. Science is amazing. Science is amazing. It's giving me a headache actually looking up there. It's actually giving me a headache. Hey, look, man, you know, it's fascinating. I mean, nature, you know, we see it. It looks like a moon right now. It's not a full blockage, you know, of the sun, but, you know, I mean, it's fascinating. It just reminds you of how marvelous science is because they're telling me it's 3 minutes away. We're coming out here, and sure enough, it's happening. Right when they said it's going to happen. It's crazy. It's all right. It was everything I thought it would be because I didn't think anything about it. Everybody's been talking about it. I didn't particularly care. But seeing it, it's nice to see it. It's moving away now, you know? It is fascinating. It really is. The solar eclipse, Stephen A. style. I'm out here watching the solar eclipse. I never thought I would do something like this. I really haven't cared about this kind of stuff ever in my life. But you know something? As you get older, You want new experiences, okay? So now I can say I did this too. All right, I'm good with it. You know, I'm inside studio and my eyes ain't hurting and stuff like that. You know how you're supposed to wear those glasses when you're watching the solar eclipse? You're supposed to wear those glasses. You're not supposed to peek through the, peek off of the glasses and look at it because your eyes can get damaged. Damn it, I lied. I tried to peek a little bit, but I couldn't take much of it. But I had the glasses on for the most part, as y'all just saw. And it was fascinating, I must confess. It was fascinating. Mother Nature, the power, the Lord. I know science is science and all of that stuff, but to believe there's no Lord above. But some of the atheists out there, more power to you. I believe in a higher power, and I just saw an example of it. It was a beautiful experience for me. I hope it was for all of y'all, too. Let's move on since we're talking about eclipses, because I'm thinking about the NBA and the playoff races that I've been watching and what I saw yesterday transpire, okay? We'll start out west where the Dallas Mavericks rallied from 22 points down last night to beat the Rockets 147-136 in overtime. Kyrie Irving led the charge, scoring a season-high 48 points as the Mavs held onto the 6th seed in the conference. The loss also eliminated the Rockets from playoff contention. Let me say this. Props to Ime Udoka, the head coach for the Houston Rockets. We know how moribund they were before he arrived. They were competitive for the most part throughout the season. Major, major props to him and the job that he's done, and I have no doubt Houston will be relevant in years and years and years to come. Now let me get to the Dallas Mavericks, who are a 5th seed, who if the playoffs were to begin today, will be going up against the Los Angeles Clippers, with the Clippers being the 4th seed, Dallas being the 5th seed, not necessarily having home court advantage, but I don't think it would mean a damn thing. Here's the reason why. Because Kyrie Irving has been spectacular. And we know what Luka has been. Luka, for those of you who don't know, is averaging 33.9 points per game and nearly 10 assists and 10 rebounds. This brother has been absolutely spectacular. Let me tell you what Kyrie Irving has done. Kyrie Irving, the same dude that was a distraction in Brooklyn, the same dude that found himself in the headlines for the wrong reasons, the same dude that seemed over the last few years to find every excuse to miss work. That Kyrie Irving is my vote for comeback player of the year. Now, there may not be such a category. Got most improved MVPs, all NBAs, all this other stuff. Kyrie Irving, considering for the bevy of reasons he was a no-show over the last few seasons on too many occasions, that has not been the case this year. He's only played 56 games, okay? He's on pace to play 60. He missed about 22, 23, 21, 22 games. Kyrie Irving is averaging 25 a game. Kyrie Irving is shooting 49.6% from the field. Kyrie Irving is shooting 41% from three-point range. Kyrie Irving is shooting 90% from the free throw line. That is, think about that, ladies and gentlemen, near 50, 40, 90 player in terms of field goal percentage, three-point shooting, free throw shooting. He is absolutely spectacular. And the way he looks right now, with the moves that the Dallas Mavericks made going into the NBA trading deadline, the Dallas Mavericks, if they give you anything defensively, because we know what they can do offensively, they could beat almost anybody. The Dallas Mavericks may have something to say. This has been one of the most interesting seasons we've ever seen in NBA history, considering the number of teams that are title contenders coming out of the Western Conference alone. And when I look at Kyrie Irving right now, I don't have a negative syllable to utter about him. He has been a model citizen. He has been a professional. You can see the chemistry and the camaraderie that he has with his teammates. You see the love and adulation opponents give towards him. He just goes out there and puts on a spectacular display of an offensive repertoire. The brother is special. He is something to behold. And I'm here to tell you something right now. The Dallas Mavericks have a chance to make some noise, and Luka Doncic should be incredibly happy with what he has in a teammate in Kyrie Irving right now. Kyrie Irving has put the basketball world on notice that indeed he is still that dude. He has returned. He is a champion. We forget that sometimes, but he is. LeBron don't have that championship in Cleveland over Golden State, overcoming the 3-1 deficit without Kyrie Irving, who averaged about 27 that series and sealed the deal with that three-point shot over Steph Curry. This is Kyrie Irving we're talking about here. The man with the spectacular handle. The man who's a miniature guy, under 6'2", can finish at the basket better than almost anybody in the league. That dude has been putting on a show. And if he continues to look this way, and Luka continues to look the way he's been looking, and Dallas gives you anything defensively like they've been giving you, look the hell out. That's one point I wanted to make. Here's the other, and it's in the Eastern Conference. And it involves my New York Knicks, baby. Orange and blue skies, baby. Orange and blue skies. Let me tell y'all something right now. Did you see what they did last night? Did you see it? Did you see it? I know I saw it because I was watching and I saw it, okay? Don't look now. But my New York Knicks are just one game behind the Milwaukee Bucks for the second overall seed in the Eastern Conference playoffs after beating them last night in Milwaukee. Jalen Brunson dropped 43 points and led the Knicks rally in the second half, sending the Bucks to their fourth consecutive loss. That's their longest losing streak of the season, and they've also dropped 6 of their last 7. I don't give a damn about the Bucks right now. Doc Rivers and all that's got love for them, but damn it, they ain't my issue right now. I'll talk about them at a later date. Right now, I want to talk about my New York Knicks. Because if you remember seeing the footage of me the other day when I got the news on live television that Julius Randle was going to be out for the season, having to opt for season-ending shoulder surgery from that separated shoulder, I was damn near depressed. Because all I want to do is get the Knicks into the conference finals, okay? And then last night I watched them. And I watched this brother, Jalen Brunson, who's an all-NBA player, by the way. Now, I can't give him the edge over Luka. I can't give him the edge over Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I understand that. But in the same breath, when you think about what Jalen Brunson has done for the New York Knicks this year, when you think about how sensational he has been, I got him as an MVP candidate, one of the top 5 MVP candidates. So he's second. He's definitely, at the very least, third-team All-NBA behind Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Luka Doncic at the point guard spots. But then I'm looking at Dante DiVincenzo, his Villanova compatriot. I got to sit up there and give love where love is due. This brother's getting a stroke. He was with Golden State last year. Evidently, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson taught him how to shoot better than ever. I'm looking at Grimes. He's looked good. I'm looking at Isaiah Hartenstein as a reserve, giving you activity off the bench. I'm looking at Mitchell Robinson being here on the court, back on the court. I'm thinking about this. And OG Anunoby is back in the lineup. Still favoring that elbow a little bit, but he's back in the lineup. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean Grimes because I know he got traded. But listen to what I'm saying to you. I'm looking at the New York Knicks right now, and I'm incredibly happy. And I'm willing to say this. I'm going to miss Julius Randle. But the Knicks are going to the conference finals without him. Now, in order for that to happen, I got to think about Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey getting in the way. I understand. In order for that to happen, I got to sit up there and worry about Giannis and Damian Lillard getting in the way. I understand. I got to think about those Miami Heat, because we all know that's my ultimate consolation prize. I'll never root against them above the Knicks, but if the Knicks were to lose in favor of the Miami Heat, and that means my summers or my May and June is in Miami, it's a depression I'll get over. Let's leave it at that. So here's the deal. The New York Knicks, the way they play defense, how tough and rough and rugged they are, and the kind of things they're capable of doing, I believe in them. And I'm here to tell you right now, even without Julius Randle, the New York Knicks are going to the conference finals. I believe they're going to the conference finals. Orange and blue skies, baby. Orange and blue skies. And before I go to the break, let me transition to a far more serious subject, please, because I think it's important to touch on, to be quite honest with you. I want to touch on a little college football and my man, Primetime Deion Sanders, the head coach of the University of Colorado. Coach Prime was pretty pissed off and called out his team following complaints from professors about certain players not engaging in class. In a team meeting, Sanders openly criticized his squad, even singling out specific players by name and reading excerpts from the professor's email to him. Here's one example. Quote, "This semester," this is from the professor, "has been extremely challenging for me as a professor. I have never felt so disrespected in my 10 years of teaching. Students do not follow even minimally, and it slows down my class so much. They make it clear that they don't want to be here. They have very little personal responsibility, making me responsible for their grades. For the students who do want to learn, it has been a bad experience as well. Since they have to work on breakout rooms and the distracted students do not bring anything, anything to the table, I often have to repeat the same 3 and 4 times because student athletes are present, but not really in class. Coach Prime has been preaching about the importance of accountability and responsibility to his team since day one. I can vouch for that myself. Deion believes that a sense of entitlement has infiltrated the Colorado football program and college football in general. Listen up.
I often have to repeat the same 3 and 4 times because student athletes are present but not really in class. You present, but you ain't really there. You on the field, but you ain't doing nothing. You in a relationship, but you ain't got no love. You at the mall, but you ain't got no money. Got a lot of ability, but no darn talent. Because you don't think. Guys, you're gonna get something out of this. You're gonna be a man, or you're gonna be a great football player. Since you choose not to be a great football player, we gotta make you a man. We good with that? Today was not wonderful. But I'd be darned if I allow these kids to get out of here without something. Without something.
Prime time has every right to be as cocky as he wants to be. Primetime Deion Sanders is the greatest cornerback in the history of football. No one will dispute that. He was an All-American in college. He won on that level. He won on a professional level, not 1, but 2 Super Bowl titles. And as flashy as he was, as much as he flossed, he backed it up every single place he went. Whether that was the Atlanta Falcons, whether that was the San Francisco 49ers, whether that was the Dallas Cowboys. Tail end of his career, and we're not talking about that. We're talking about when he was healthy enough to be who the hell we know him to be. The brother was so big time, it was almost an allergic reaction to watch him playing in the daytime because he personified prime, as in prime time. Understand that's how great he was. If you're the University of Colorado's football program, listen and listen good. You don't get to have that kind of arrogance and bravado. You haven't done a damn thing yet. Y'all won 4 games last year. Y'all went 6 weeks without winning a game. Prime is prime. So the program improved because he inherited a 1-11 program. But as players, y'all haven't done anything yet. And when a professor sits up there and sends that kind of message and challenges your lack of enthusiasm towards your own education, your lack of focus, your lack of accountability, and essentially talks about you being an entitled individual to the point where the coach has to address the team. And he's talking about, you got a girl, but you ain't in a relationship. You at the mall, but you ain't got no money. You talking about going pro, but you ain't succeed here. What he's saying is your bark is a hell of a lot more significant than your bite. You ain't really about anything yet. So what are you going to do? If you're players at the University of Colorado, if you're a college player anywhere, in any sport, whatever you're doing, because see, this is the real world out here. You got people out here that's waiting for you, and they're waiting to kick your ass in whatever it is that you're going to do. It could be playing football. It could be being an accountant. It could be being a lawyer. It could be being a media pundit. It could be being a journalist. It could be anything. There's always, always, always competition. Are you going to be a winner or somebody that talks about winners? What are you going to be? Because it takes love, it takes dedication, it takes focus, it takes sacrifice. In the world that you're living in right now where your education is free and you go out there in that football field and you putting in your blood and you putting in your sweat, but not on all levels to be all that you could be, to the point where you got a coach like primetime Deion Sanders. He's got to venture away from football because he's got to talk to you about manhood because you don't seem to know what it entails. That is an indictment against you. If you're the football program at the University of Colorado, you know how embarrassing it is to have a professor write a letter about that. Or a letter like that about you. What the hell are you doing? You 4-8. You ain't done nothing yet. Deion has. That's my brother. He has. You haven't done anything. Get it together. Because you see, when you have a coach like him, there's a microscope that comes with it. And that microscope doesn't just watch him, it watches all around him. He don't have anything to prove. He's done it already. You, however, are another matter. Get your stuff together and grow the hell up. Because clearly you haven't, if a professor is writing letters like that about you. Still to come, former President Donald Trump makes his position clear on a hot-button topic of abortion. And there seems to be a truce in the Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole beef as well. And of course, like I told you, the amazing Eboni K. Williams joins me right here in studio on the Stephen A. Smith Show. You won't want to miss what she has to say, especially about P. Diddy. Don't touch that dial. Back with more of the Stephen A. Smith Show in a minute. Whenever I'm looking to find a great deal to see Beyonce perform her new country songs or watch Jalen Brunson at Madison Square Garden, the only place I go for tickets is on the SeatGeek app. SeatGeek gives you access to over 70,000 events, including concerts, games, festivals, and more, and provides access to tickets to almost any event. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the place to be. That's why I'm excited to have a ticketing partner to help the Stephen A. Smith Show listeners navigate today's ticketing market to guarantee you can see whoever it is you want, whether it is Kendrick Lamar and Lady Gaga or LeBron and the Los Angeles Lakers. SeatGeek puts all the tickets across the web in one place to make sure you're getting the best deal. And I'm coming through with a special offer. Use my code SAS10 for 10% off tickets at SeatGeek. That's right. Go now and download the SeatGeek app and use my code SAS10 for 10% off to take advantage of this limited time offer. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app. Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show. The beef brewing between rappers J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, and Drake seems to be cooling off. You may recall Kendrick Lamar dropped the song Like That, calling out Cole and Drake. Cole clapped back with, quote, 7-minute drill, which had social media buzzing just last week. But now it seems Cole has had a change of heart. The North Carolina rapper explained he felt pressured to respond by saying, quote, "There's one part of that shit that makes me feel like, man, that's the lamest shit I ever did in my fucking life. And I know this is not what a lot of people want to hear. I got to keep it 100, y'all. I damn near had a relapse. I felt conflicted because I'm like, bruh, I know I don't really feel a way. But the world wants to see blood. I moved in a way that spiritually feels bad on me. At the end of the day, when I listen to it and when it comes out and I see the talk, that shit don't sit right with my spirit. Want to say right here tonight, Kendrick Lamar is one of the greatest expletives to ever touch a microphone," end quote. My brother Charlamagne the God from the Breakfast Club weighed in. Listen to what he had to say.
The rap fan in me understands the disappointment many of you feel in Cole, but the man in me who understands that I'm a spiritual being living a human existence has nothing but respect for what J. Cole did. See, so many of us lead with pride and ego nowadays, and we let these idiots on social media who we don't even know peer pressure us to say things and do things that we don't even want to do. It takes a real human to check himself and say, man, what I'm doing, I don't even believe. I don't even believe in. I don't believe what I said. I don't even believe in what I did. Apologize and keep it moving.
My brother Charlamagne the God is absolutely right. By the way, Drake has yet to weigh in, but let me say this. J. Cole deserves even more respect than we even realize, and here's the reason why. It's one thing to sit up there and not cave in to social media, not cave in to folks that's egging you on and want you to do stuff that ain't in your spirit, as he would say. It's another thing entirely to actually do it, but then turn around, recognize the wrong in it all, and be man enough to come on center stage in a public platform and apologize. That's what real men do. That's what real adults do. Now, we were talking about this, and me personally, I never had a problem with the beef because the beef was restricted to simply lyrics. You're going at each other, you're throwing bars at one another, you're taking a position, et cetera, et cetera. Nobody was threatening violence upon one another or anything like that, and that's all we should care about, really. Because the hip-hop game was based off of cats battling all the time. I grew up when LL and Kool Moe Dee were going at it. So I know what they're talking about here. Run DMC had critics and cynics all over the damn place. Everybody wanting to beat them, thinking that what the hell were they all about? Don't get me started with East Coast, West Coast going at one another. We've seen it throughout hip-hop history. So it was acceptable if they're going to go at each other lyrically, as long as it didn't extend beyond those boundaries. So as long as that was the case, I was fine with it. But then to see J. Cole come out here, it's just showing you a new era and a new day. And it's also reminding you what manhood and adulthood is supposed to be about. If something ain't in your spirit and you really don't have a problem with it, he could have let this drag on. He could have made money off of this. It could have padded the wallets of his, along with that of Kendrick Lamar and Drake, but he don't need it. And he don't want to get it that way because all money ain't good money. Now, I know that's hard for some of y'all to believe. It's really, really hard. But all money ain't good money. Just because you got money in your pocket don't mean you get to absolve yourself from recognizing how you captured those dollars. And if you captured it by being something that deviates from who you are, what you're all about, what you're made of, and it's not as upstanding as you would like it to be, then you really, really feeling good about that money in your pocket? You must be a broke-ass person if that's how you feel it. You must be an individual that's broke mentally and spiritually as well because you don't believe in yourself that you could go out there and get it legitimately. J. Cole clearly doesn't have that problem. J. Cole is like, yo, I know how skilled and gifted I am. I know how much money I've made. I know how much money I can continue to make. I don't need to go this route because that's not in me. I don't have anything against Kendrick Lamar. If I had something against him, that would be different. But I don't. So why am I sitting out here pretending like I do? It ain't good for my spirit. I'm not going to be that way. I'm going to fall back. Mad respect to J. Cole for that, and I completely agree with Charlamagne the God on this. By the way, this Wednesday, right here in studio, the one and only Jada Kiss is going to be in the house. Can't wait to have that conversation. Looking big time forward to that. Can't wait till he comes on the Stephen A. Smith show right here over the digital airwaves of YouTube. Allow me to move on to a little politics for a second, please. Because after months of mixed messages and declining to endorse a national abortion ban, former President Donald Trump made his feelings clear on the issue of abortion in a video posted on his Truth social media site earlier today. Take a look.
My view is now that we have abortion where everybody wanted it from a legal standpoint, the states will determine by vote or legislation or perhaps both, and whatever they decide must be the law of the land, in this case, the law of the state. Many states will be different. Many will have a different number of weeks, or some will have more conservative than others, and that's what they will be. At the end of the day, this is all about the will of the people. You must follow your heart or, in many cases, your religion or your faith. Do what's right for your family and do what's right for yourself. Do what's right for your children. Do what's right for our country and vote. So important to vote. At the end of the day, it's all about will of the people.
Actually, that's not true. In his eyes, it's all about the will of Donald Trump. Now, be clear, it's not a crime. Matter of fact, I loved seeing him take this position. And it's not because I'm leaning one way or another. Just to make sure I put my politics on Front Street in regard to this issue, I am totally against abortion, but I am not against a woman's right to choose. I don't believe a man should be telling a woman what the hell to do with her body, personally. So I was definitely in opposition to the overturning of Roe v. Wade, just so we're clear. Having said all of that, what I like about what Trump did is Trump reminded us what politics are all about. You had one position. Once upon a time, you sitting there sticking out your chest, bloviating, bragging about the fact that Roe v. Wade was overturned because of you. Amy Coney Barrett and others, and Brett Kavanaugh and others that you put on the Supreme Court to give it a 6-3 conservative majority. It wouldn't have happened unless you put those justices in those positions, and you bragged about that, and you bragged about that. And you have the conservative folks, the GOP, consistently talking, at least some of them anyway, talking about a national abortion ban, particularly after 16 weeks in the eyes of some of those politicians, mainly Senator out of South Carolina, Lindsey Graham, who spoke against Trump earlier today. But my point is, Trump was of that ilk. He was of that position. He took that side, and then somebody said to him, look, man, you're ahead in 6 of the 7 polls. But in the same breath, this is not a lock. You could still lose this election. You know why you could lose this election? Because of the 4 indictments and the 91 counts, combined with the overturning of Roe v. Wade. We don't know if the support from women, particularly white women, is something that you are going to be able to count on. So you're going to need to modify your position to some degree. Otherwise, the Democratic Party is going to make it a focal point on their campaigns as the election approaches. And you don't need that right now with the momentum that you're gaining. What does Trump do? He shifts gears. Why? Because he doesn't really care. He just wants to win. He wants to make sure that he wins. If it's a national ban and that's going to give him votes, fine. If a national ban is not required and you can get away with just saying it's about state rights, fine. Whatever it takes is what this man is going to be willing to do, because his priority is to win the election. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It doesn't make it a crime. He's like most, if not all, politicians. Whatever it takes to curry votes is what I'm going to be willing to do in order to get myself back in that White House. Here's what I really, really love in terms of my closing remark. This election appears as if it's going to come down to women. The men who are going to vote for Trump, going to vote for Trump. The men who are going to vote for Biden, going to vote for Biden. Black, white, Latino, Asian, it don't matter. The men are going to be the men who've made their positions relatively clear. Even independents like myself, you pretty much know where I'm leaning to, because I don't want civil war in this country. Having said all of that, the women are going to decide who the president of the United States is going to be in the year 2025. The women, all you ladies out there, the age that we're living in, you see women empowerment elevating in our mind's eye all over this country. And it's going to be cemented in the next election. Trump doesn't do this unless he knows he's got something to worry about with that women's vote. That's why he did what he did. Can't say I blame him. Really can't. My next guest is an attorney, a former Real Housewife of New York, and the host of the podcast Holding Court with Eboni K. Williams on the iHeart Network, which, by the way, is fresh off an NAACP Image Award win. Let's get that out the way first, okay? The podcast features is featured on newsmaking cases and famous faces. Please welcome the lovely Eboni K. Williams. How you doing, girl? Long time no see.
Stephen
How have you been?
Smith, it's been a minute. Congratulations, brother. You look amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
I appreciate
yes,
it.
yes.
So do you.
Thank
you. Let's get right into it, because we got a lot of stuff to get into.
Yes,
we got a
we
lot
do.
of stuff, especially as it entails you directly, and in a good way. But before we even get into that, I got to ask you right now.
Yeah.
You know about this case, and we've talked about this case against Sean P. Diddy Combs, obviously being accused of sexual assault, sexual trafficking, engaging in other criminal activity. You've seen all of this take place, all of this come in motion. What were your thoughts when you first heard about it?
Well, you know, Stephen, I can't say I'm surprised. Unfortunately, you know, we are still very much, as a society and as a culture, dealing with the continued reckoning, as it will, with Me Too. So we know no industry is untouched. And so there was just a matter of time before we saw more of it as it relates to hip hop. So the allegations are horrendous. We all kind of, I think, were rocked a bit in late November 2023 when we saw the original Cassie of it all, which really started what became a snowball of what we've seen thus far. There's at least 6 current litigation spaces in which he's named, and the most recent being where he's a named defendant, not accused of sex assault, but of aiding and abetting the sex assault of allegedly his son. We're talking about Christian Combs.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's sad, it's heavy. Of course, all allegations at this point, he's not been convicted of anything. In fact, he's not been criminally charged.
That's right.
Of anything.
And
I
what do
think
we
that's
even make of
important.
that? What do we even make about the fact that it's been going on for weeks now? We've seen Homeland Security raid his homes in both Miami and Los Angeles, but no arrest has taken place. Because of your legal mind, your legal expertise, what do you make about the fact that no charges have been leveled against him as of yet?
I don't make much of it, Stephen. The feds are feding. That's what that tells me. The federal government is, we've been aware for weeks. I assure you this has been going on for months in terms of the investigation. Months of collecting evidence, getting witnesses to collaborate particular stories and testimonies. What we're seeing now are kind of probably the final stages of what this investigation looks like. We know the recent, you're talking about the home, and I want to get back to the Homeland Security piece, not the FBI.
That's right.
All federal agencies, but they're a little different. I want to spend some time there in a second, put a pin in it. But the fact that they specifically, Stephen A., recently collected cell phones, other electronic devices, that's kind of the end of the road, as we say. Those are going to be the final pieces that they're looking to corroborate, probably some pre-existing testimonials for I would imagine, a long list of potential witnesses.
Let's go there for a second. When we talk about Homeland Security, the difference between local PD, FBI, Homeland Security, what are we to make of the fact that Homeland Security is the one that raided these homes as opposed to the FBI or local police?
That part is fascinating to me. Now that's where I'm interested, really, really interested, because normally we would see sex trafficking, racketeering. It sounds a lot like recently what we saw with R. Kelly. It sounds like other things we've seen in the headlines. The fact that it's not the FBI and it's Homeland Security. Homeland Security, Stephen A., is a relatively new federal division. We just got it post 9/11. It is a direct result of 9/11. So it triggers certain things, right? It normally triggers terrorism, to be quite direct, issues around border control, border safety. So when you think of some of these civil litigations that name Puffy right now, some of them also include the illegal selling of arms, the illegal selling of drugs, in addition to the sex trafficking. So I don't want to put the cart before the horse. We don't want to do any too much speculation here, but there's something awry where they're thinking that there is something dealing with the border issue and potentially a foreign threat of some nature. It's got to be in the mix for them to go with Homeland Security.
And the one thing that comes to my mind is when we talk about sex trafficking, obviously, that's something that could be of an international variety, and obviously it entails crossing the borders, and that might be the justification as to why Homeland Security got involved. I'm looking at the case, his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, she brought against him. It was settled a day after it was filed. Is that what set all of this in motion, in your estimation?
It did. I can't help it. When you read it, I think of what my grandmother would have said: a day late and a dollar short.
One day.
Well, and let's kind of just name it, right? The one day says that obviously Mr. Combs and his legal team might have thought this was a bluff. And sometimes this happens when you're on the back end, meaning you're on the legal representation side of these types of lawsuits, Stephen A. Know that before somebody walks that lawsuit and gets it filed in the clerk of court, there have been numerous what we call pre-litigation conversations. Lawyers picking up the phone, calling your legal team. Well, do we have an opportunity to settle this? Well, I don't think so. Well, all of that led to no resolution, which is why the lawsuit was actually filed and then settled a day later. It tells me, Stephen A., that they likely thought that the lawsuit would never actually see the light of day, that there would be so much probably fear, anxiety, hesitation, that some of the, let's just say, horrendous and horribly egregious details that we all read in that very lengthy lawsuit from Cassie would never want to be exposed. The fact that there was a willingness to finally go there publicly prompted the very quick, 24 hours. I don't think I've ever seen something publicly so quick, the settlement there. And yes, to answer your question, it set everything in motion. It opened the door, as we say, to now what we're seeing as a litany of civil litigation attempts.
Another woman, Joey Dickerson-Neal. She filed a lawsuit a day before the Adult Survivors Act expired.
Yes, she
First
did.
of all, explain the Adult Survivors Act, please, and its relevance.
I can. So I just recently stepped aside from my tenure. I served 6 years, Stephen A., on a board of directors for a wonderful organization called Safe Horizon. We are the largest victims advocacy group for services of victims of violent crime in the country. We specialize on New York. I named the organization because we were very vital in leading what became a legislative effort. So I want to be very clear. The Sexual Survivors Act is a law. It is specific to the state of New York, and it allows a look-back window of 1 year. It says that if you have been abused and you want to be able to prove that in a court of civil law, so none of this is criminal, this is civil, these are lawsuits, civil litigation remedies, you have 1 year to bring your claim. A claim that previously would have not been viable due to statutes of limitations. So you could have been alleging that you were assaulted or harmed 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Well,
literally.
Dickerson-Neal claims that nearly 32 years ago, the incident with her and P. Diddy Combs took place.
Let's think about what's it, Jean Carroll, who recently won her lawsuit against Trump. I think it's on appeal again now. Right. That was, 40 years ago, something plus, all of a result of this look-back window. So this young lady, Joy, was able to file 1 day before the expiration of that. And I think people thought there were going to be more. I'll tell you, in the legal community, Stephen A., we were expecting even more people to come forward right before that look-back window.
Thanks again to the wonderful Eboni K. Williams. To catch her interview with yours truly in its entirety, look for the Stephen A. Smith Show on YouTube later on this week, and you will see, again, yours truly talking to Miss Eboni K. Williams in its entirety. Don't miss it. Oh, she has a lot more to say about politics, about ladies and men and relationships and everything else in between. Please trust me on this. Don't miss it. Coming up, there was another bad first pitch at Yankee Stadium, and you know something? It wasn't me. It really wasn't. But it did draw some comparisons. I'll show you that. Plus, the one and only John Calipari departing from the University of Kentucky to go and take the same job at Arkansas. I'll talk about that, plus your tweets and calls up next. Stick around, don't touch that dial. You're watching the Stephen A. Smith Show right here over the digital airwaves of YouTube. Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here over the digital airwaves of YouTube. Once again, many, many thanks to all of you out there supporting the show. Eclipsing 611,000 subscribers and counting. Always, always, always appreciate the love. Let's get to some quick hitters, okay? On Friday, four-time champion with the Yankees, Mr. Paul O'Neill threw out the ceremonial first pitch at the home opener in the Bronx against the Toronto Blue Jays. O'Neill actually had the audacity, the temerity, the unmitigated goal to bounce the pitch to former teammate and Blue Jays coach, bench coach that is, Don Mattingly, earning a round of jeers. I know a bad first pitch when I see one. But it was Mattingly's commentary after that which caught my attention.
When I saw Mattingly there, I'm like, you know what? You're the first baseman. I used to just bounce them to you from right field.
Now, from your vantage point, what went right or what went wrong with Paul O'Neill's first pitch?
I'm not sure. He just threw it straight in the ground. A little bit like Stephen A. Seen some Stephen A in that thing. Just threw it straight in the ground. I'm not quite sure what he was doing with that.
Oh, it got me. All right, Don Mattingly, okay? Donnie Baseball, I mean, I get what you're saying. But listen, I would love to clap back at Don Mattingly, who's one of the greatest hitters in Major League Baseball history and a New York Yankee first baseman. I love him dearly. But the bottom line is, right is right. It did look a little bit like me. See for yourself. See that? It's true. It's true. First of all, I messed up. I had on a collared shirt. Secondly, I had on my Christian Louboutin shoes. I was scared I was going to bust my ass on the mound. See, I never stepped up to a Major League Baseball mound before. When I got up there and I saw how far away it was and how it was a little slippery, I made a business decision, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I could either really, really go for it with no caution and risk busting my ass on national television in front of everybody, or I could play it safe and try to get it to home plate that way. It was one or the other. I tried the second option. It didn't work out. But you know it's bad when baseball folks bring up your name and you ain't seen them in years. It looked a lot like Stephen A. Smith. I was hoping people forgot, but they didn't. You got me, Don Mattingly. You got me, but guess what? I will be back to make amends. I'm going to do it again. I'm not running from the challenge. I'm not running. I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it, y'all. I'm going to try. And I'm going to get it over that damn plate. You mark my words. You mark my words. Now, before I get into the men's championship game tonight, I want to touch on a major move in college basketball where John Calipari is finalizing a deal to leave Kentucky after 15 years and head to Arkansas. Calipari is set to replace Eric Musselman, who left to take the USC job last week. University of Southern California, that is. Coach Cal would be leaving Kentucky after leading the Wildcats to 4 Final Fours in his first 6 seasons and a national title in 2012. He went to the Elite Eight in 2017 and 2019, but only has 1 tournament victory since. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a personal thing for me because I've known John Calipari since the mid-90s. I worked at the Philadelphia Inquirer. One of my first jobs was covering Temple University basketball, led by the late, great John Chaney, God rest his soul. And John Calipari was coaching at UMass when he had Lou Rowe and Marcus Camby and Mike Williams and those brothers. John Calipari is a coach that I have the utmost respect for. His resume is pretty damn great. He took UMass to a Final Four. He took Memphis, led by Derrick Rose, to a national championship game. And if it wasn't for Mario Chalmers hitting a 3 and tying the game, sending it into overtime before Memphis ran out of gas, he might have won the national championship in Memphis. And then from there, he went to the University of Kentucky, where in 2012, led by Anthony Davis, he won a national title. Here's the reality, though. John Calipari has been a head coach in the NCAA Division I men's basketball for 32 years. He's got one title. Once in 32 years. Now, I understand it's hard to get 2, it's hard to get 3, it's hard to get 4, stuff like that, like the Mike Krzyzewskis, the Roy Williams, the Bill Selfs of the world, people like that. But 1, when you have been at this program for 15 years, and the vast majority of those times, you've had the number 1 or the number 2 recruiting class, and you ain't been to a Final Four in 9 years. You haven't won a national championship in 12 years. And players that you had that you didn't win a national championship with, DeMarcus Cousins, John Wall, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Bam Adebayo, the list goes on and on, Jamal Murray. So many great names coming through your programs, and you don't have the national title to show for it. That's not great. But that's not the be-all, end-all, because in a Cinderella kind of atmosphere like is the NCAA and March Madness, anything can happen. We get that. But over the last 4 years, you missed the NCAA tournament, you got bounced out in the first round twice, and you got to the second round once, and you lost there, and you failed to get to a Sweet 16 in any of those years. You've got the top recruiting class in the nation. That can't happen. You're doing it at the University of Kentucky. It cannot happen. It cannot happen. And that's what has happened to John Calipari. And so what do I think of all of this? I think he's running away from Kentucky. People might disagree with that. I don't give a damn. He's running away from Kentucky because Kentucky is looking at you and they're saying, damn, you've had enough time. Maybe it's time to move on from you. We can get anybody to pay half the price of the $18.5 million we're giving you, the $33 million buyout. We can get somebody for less than that can have us home in the second round or the first round of the NCAA tournament. And then he goes down to Arkansas, where his buddy, whose billionaire buddy, who's the CEO of Tyson Foods, is an alumni member. And you got that NIL money that comes into the coffers. And on top of all of that, you don't have the pressure at Arkansas that you once had at Kentucky, or you've had at Kentucky all of these years, who's considered a blue blood program. But I got news for you. Eric Musselman didn't do a bad job. This year at 16 and 17, he didn't make the NCAA tournament, but his first 4 years on the job, he was in the Elite 8 at least twice, and in the Sweet 16 about 3 times. He's done a damn good job with that program before he's now departed for USC. So I got news for you. You're going to have some pressure there. I just thought that John Calipari would be at Kentucky until he retired. That isn't the case. I wish him nothing but the best. I know he's an elite recruiter. I know he's an elite developer of talent. But you got to close the deal. Maybe not with national championships, but at least with Final Four appearances. We haven't been seeing that from John Calipari. And Kentucky knew it, and they were ready to move on. And we can't blame them. Even though they weren't going to push him out the door because they didn't want to give him the $33 million, clearly he felt unwanted there and was more wanted at Arkansas. Good luck to him. Wishing him nothing but the best. But you got to do more. You got to do more and get back to that John Calipari we knew and loved as an elite coach in the game of basketball. You're not there right now. Let's move on to tonight's title game between UConn Huskies and the Purdue Boilermakers. The Huskies are looking to repeat as champions since the University of Florida won back-to-back titles in 06 and 07. The Boilermakers are hoping for their first ever title. It'll be an interior battle of 7'4" Zach Edey versus 7'2" Donovan Clingan. Let me tell you this. I'm looking forward to this matchup. We haven't seen 2 7-footers on this kind of stage in college basketball since Patrick Ewing went up against Akeem the Dream Olajuwon when they were at Georgetown and Houston respectively, and Patrick Ewing got the best of them. This is going to be an interesting matchup because Zach Edey is a 2-time National Player of the Year. He's 7'4". He looks about a damn foot taller than everybody he's up against. And so it's going to be interesting to see what he's going to do against somebody nearly his own size and what type of success he's going to have with it. I can't wait to see it. That's what I want to see in tonight's matchup. I think UConn is a superior team. I think Danny Hurley is an exceptional coach. He's one of the elite one. UConn has had a big-time program all these years, but Alabama just gave them a run for their money. Who's not to say that this is an indication of things to come? We don't know what's going to happen tonight. It could get very, very interesting. But I will say this. Regardless of how interesting it gets, We want to see this matchup because I want to find out about Zach Edey. Is he really that dude? It's real easy to beat up on people a foot smaller than you. What you gonna do when you're going up against somebody your own size? That is what I'm looking to see tonight. We'll find out. I'm picking UConn. I'm picking UConn to win the national title. I don't think Purdue's going to have enough, but I could be wrong. This is the NCAA tournament after all. Let's go to the screen and look at some of the tweets before I get your phone calls and get on out of here. At Chris_Gerard13 writes, Stephen A., helped my friend move into his new apartment today. Rate the setup. Dudes only. This is a horrible setup. What the hell is this? A table, a folding table, with a damn TV that looks like a computer screen on top of it, with at least 2 folding chairs and this lounge chair. That's all. And by the way, the view is of a tree right outside. This is horrible. Horrible. I mean, you know, you don't have to be an interior decorator to do this. And by the way, the blinds are crooked. Really? Clearly, this wasn't a woman that set this up. You have no style, no class, no grace when it comes to decorating. I hope he doesn't call you to help him in the future. You should have just helped him lift this stuff up into the apartment. But if this is the setup, good luck to that. I'm sorry. That doesn't work for me, man. Let's go on to the next one, please. At Robbie Somabi _ Stephen A., who wins a 100-meter dash and what would be their time? Who is this here? Flash? Flash Gordon and Sonic. I'm going to go with Sonic. As fast as Flash is, look at Sonic looking at him like, why are you in my way? Sonic, I'm going to go with Sonic. I think Sonic got him beat here. I understand we're used to dealing with Flash and all that stuff, lightning and all that stuff, but this is Sonic, baby. I'm going to roll with Sonic on this one. Next one. Let me get this next one up here, please. At Nick Lombardi SK writes, did you watch WrestleMania last night? And if so, what are your thoughts on both Cody Rhodes winning the big one? I'm a fan of Cody Rhodes. I'm glad he finally won. This title has escaped it for quite some time. I actually interviewed him during my day job Friday morning before this event. I got a lot, actually Thursday morning, I got a lot of love for this guy. I like him a lot. He's the son of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. Remember that? NWA days and all of that stuff. Cody Rhodes is big time. He finally got the love. Now, lost on Saturday, you know, when The Rock took care of him. Okay, we get that. But I got to tell you something. When he fought on Sunday in the main event for the heavyweight crown, I like him. I like him a lot. I'm glad he finally got his just due. He was waiting for this. He wanted this bad. This is what he had been waiting for. Ultimately got it done. And to me, it ain't just about your wrestling ability. You got to be an elite smack talker. Okay? I come from the days of Ric Flair, baby, Hulk Hogan, all right? Ooh, yeah. Randy Macho Man Savage, the Ultimate Warrior, people like that. My favorite tag team of all time was the Road Warriors, okay? But I loved the Four Horsemen, even though they didn't do as good at talking as Ric Flair did. He was the leader of that pack, but I like that stuff, okay? I like that stuff. And of course, nobody loves Goldberg more than me. You're next. Yes, he didn't have to do with so much talking. That kind of stuff. But if Cody Rhodes can market it, can market the sport like that, I'm all for it, y'all. I'm all for it. Let's go to the last tweet here, please. Give it to me. At Bird, B-E-R-D, Bird your boy, Y-A-B-O-I. Which Pikmin are you bringing to fight the Emperor Bull Blacks? Let me see. It definitely ain't going to be this one. That's a damn flower. It ain't going to be that. I'm not putting them in a fight, okay? I mean, they all got something on them. I'm trying to look at who looks the most menacing. I'm going to go with this one right here, the big one. What's his name again? I forgot his name. It'll come to me. But this one right here, he's the biggest one. If I'm going to get in a fight, if I know you're skilled, that's different. But if I don't know you're skilled, I'm going to go with the one with, figuratively speaking, more mass appeal. And that would be this one right here. Let's go over to the phones before I get on out of here for the day. Okay? 888, say ESPN is 888-727-5303, 888-SAS-5303. 03. That is the number to call in to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here over the digital airways of YouTube. Zephyr in Tucson, Arizona. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hi, Stephen. So my question for you here, who in the NBA all-time do you think would make a great NFL player?
Who in the NBA?
Yeah, anyone in the NBA.
LeBron James. I think LeBron James would have been an exceptional tight end in the National Football League or an exceptional receiver. I really do. I think that him in the open field, I think his physicality, both with his lower extremities as well as his upper body, I think that he would have been able to get it done. The durability thing is what comes to my mind the most. LeBron James has been pretty reliable throughout his career health-wise. I think that's one of the most phenomenal things about him. It's rare that he gets hurt to a point where he has to miss significant action. It just doesn't happen to him often. So I would go with LeBron James in that one. Thank you so much. Corey in Atlanta, you're live with Stephen A. What's up, Corey? How are you? Corey, are you there? Corey?
Here. I'm here.
There you go, man. You live on the air, bro. Talk to me. What's up?
Sorry about that, man. Sorry. Hey, quick question, man. And I haven't heard it all day, but it's been on my mind since yesterday evening. Dawn Staley to Kentucky, man. Tell me that wouldn't be dope and progressive.
Dawn Staley? Dawn Staley?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't think that's something she'd want to do, but I'm not averse to that. I wouldn't mind that. Can I give you something that I think would be even more progressive? Are you ready for this?
Yes, sir.
Last time I checked, the reigning defending two-time WNBA champions, the Las Vegas Aces, is coached by Becky Hammons. Why not have her coach an NBA team? She deserves it. I appreciate what Dawn Staley has done. Dawn Staley's been phenomenal. And in 16 years as South Carolina's head coach, she's won 80% of her games. Okay? She's been absolutely phenomenal. She's got 3 national titles, 2 in the last 3 years. Over the last 3 seasons, her record is 109-3. Dawn Staley has been absolutely phenomenal. But last time I checked, so is Becky Hammons. And Becky Hammons is accustomed to coaching pros. And not only is she accustomed to coaching pros, on the female side as a head coach, she was coaching pros on the men's side as an assistant in the NBA under Greg Popovich. And if you remember, when she was coaching the team in the Summer League, she won the title. How about Becky Hammons? You want to talk about progressive? Making the move, Dawn Staley to Kentucky, that's fine. But I don't know if anything would be better than Becky Hammons coaching on the NBA level. Got to get on out of here, man. I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. Got to get on out of here for the day. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. Remember to tune in later on this week to hear my interview with Eboni K. Williams in its entirety. And also remember, this Wednesday, the one and only Jadakiss is going to be in the house talking to your boy. So make sure you tune into the Stephen A. Smith Show as this week progresses. I've got more and more coming your way, so make sure you stay tuned. Never, ever underestimate what your boy's going to bring to you. Until next time, I'm signing off. Stephen A. Smith saying goodbye. Peace and love, everybody. Until later.